Welcome again, a very warm welcome on behalf of KITEF. We decided to do the whole podium discussion in English. That's why I'm reading off this card, because we really want to try to make it precise and short. So let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Prasanna Uman, and I'm the press spokeswoman or the cooperation partner of KITEF. Zukunftsakademie NRW, where I belong professionally to, basically focuses on topics like intercultural opening processes in cultural institutions and the educational sector, as well as art education and the future of urban societies in this federal state, North Rhine-Westphalia. Besides, I'm also an active member in the Association of Journalists with Migrational Background, Neue Deutsche Medienmacher e.V., which is working on intercultural opening processes as well in media and on a politically correct wording in the news coverage, which is also important regarding the topics of refugee movements and not crisis, for instance. On the preceding day, local representatives of institutions yesterday and city authorities were invited on this podium. Today, we are stepping to freelance activists, as we could see and hear, which was very impressive, representatives of NGOs, as well as experts who are working on the interface between civil society and city authorities, and they are all from all over Europe. You all made quite a move for this powwow. Thank you very much for that. I just start shortly with Phil because you already got to know him, and he wasn't introduced before, so I do that now. Thank you very much for your keynote. It was great, and I really hope that we can now later on discuss some of your suggestions. Phil works with cities around the world to find creative responses to the process of change. He has been a freelance researcher, writer, and activist since 2000. He is closely associated with Comedia, a network of collaborators with this beautiful subline, Art of City Making. Phil has been working in more than 40 countries, and he is the principal advisor, which he showed to the Council of Europe on its Intercultural Cities program. I have one question left after our preliminary talk, which I really forgot, Phil, and I just want to ask you about that. You describe yourself as an urban therapist. Who exactly is your client? Who is in need of sustainable therapy?
I actually invented that title, the urban therapist. I think I'm the only one. I don't jealously guard the title. If anybody wants to form an institute of urban therapists, then I'm happy to join with others here. I actually invented that title to help my wife, because my wife said, "I'm sick of going out in company with you," and people come up to me and say, "And what does your husband do? Is he an architect, planner, social worker? What is he? What does he do?" And she goes, "I don't know what to say. Give me some words to say." And so, almost off the top of my head, urban therapist. I said, "Tell them that." By the time they've started thinking about it, you can be gone before they even ask, "Well, what does that mean?" But anywhere, of course, can need therapy. We all need care, we all need attention. Towns and cities are like people. We all have our hopes, our joys, our fears, our anxieties. We all have our dark secrets, things that we don't want to talk about, but things that maybe need to be talked about before we can move on. And therefore, you might say, well, if the urban therapist turns up in your town, maybe it's a sure sign that you've got problems. I hope not, because I hope I've tried to say that it's not just about dealing with problems, and that everywhere, whether it's the most successful city or it's the one that's seen as problematic, everywhere needs to be able to talk about itself a little more, with a little bit more generosity and a bit more sincerity and honesty. So I'm happy to work wherever you'll work with me.
Thank you very much, Phil. You all have impressive CVs and you are tremendously dedicated to your work. That is why I would like to ask you to introduce yourself briefly after I did, and just complement my introduction with a short synopsis which contains a personal mission statement in terms of why are you doing what you are and why are you here on this powwow, on this podium. Please welcome with me Maja Lalic, who has to catch the train, unfortunately, from Belgrade, Serbia. Maja has graduated in architecture and urban design from Columbia University, New York. She founded the multidisciplinary and multicultural platform Mixer, which is dedicated to the development and promotion of creative talents in the Balkan region, and promotion of creative talents over there. With her colleague and life partner, Ivan Lalic, she initiated Refugee Aid Mixerliste in Savamala. Mixerliste has provided medical help, food, clothes, daily shelter, and psychosocial support to more than 150,000 refugees since the beginning of the refugee movement along the Balkan route. Maja has been awarded by the European Movement in Serbia and the European Movement International for Mixerliste's contribution to Europe. Besides, she received the European Citizenship Award 2016 for Social Campaign of the Year by the European Civic Forum and Volunteer. This CV and award list is impressive, Maja, no doubt about that. But when I talked to her, or to you yesterday, I was even more impressed because you are so much involved in Mixer and also in the pressing topics of the Balkan yesterday and today. Please, could you give us a short description containing the essentials of your work in your country of origin and the present situation for Mixer?
Thank you for this introduction, baby. Well, I do also have a similar problem with my parents to explain what do we do, because I was trained as architect and I was always interested from day one, not that much into forms of buildings, but more into urban landscape and social connections. So I still do believe that I chose the right education. But then all about Mixer really happened completely spontaneously, and I have a feeling now when I look back that things are somehow connected, but when they were happening, they were pretty much coming just out of the stomach as reactions to certain things that happened. Me, as one of many young people that were part of the maybe biggest brain drain that we had in Serbia during the Milosevic era, was always interested in, of course, somehow removing this stigma from Serbia, because I was actually studying when there were bombing, and I was actually leaving the country under the bombs. And every example that we were actually given in those times were somehow containing Serbia or Milosevic, or so with a group of friends, even while I was still in New York in 2000, we've established this imaginary platform. Back then I didn't even know about all these administrative things. It's only many years later that we will finally be forced to make some kind of an organization or have a bank account and do all these, unfortunately, still very boring things for me. But this is what life makes out of you. If you want to move on, you have to kind of reorganize and learn. And I have to say, I wore many hats. Even now within our cultural hub, Mixer House, which needs to survive because it's self-sustained. We also have a bar, so I'm not even like, working in the kind of bar business and so on. But sometimes even criticized by the pure art community because, we are sustainable. But then it's the position that we have is basically not making a kind of alternative scene, but maybe it's a blasphemic to say, but we want to make the mainstream, the overall cultural level much of a better quality. So this is why we are multidisciplinary, and we have a lot of programs that are actually targeting the community and all groups of people. We have many beautiful nights with the elderly, the retired people. They have their annual dance in our culture center, and also we're also dealing a lot with the children and different programs, and we're actually sometimes even making these pure artistic content a bit dirty, and we really like to do it so because we think bringing it closer to people, we are actually this holy grail of art and culture is actually being much more fair, divided and then spread, so that the real avant-garde or the real alternative scene can really give some much better results. The Mixerlich that you've mentioned first started as a nice way to use the abandoned space. So in the winter we organized, we made a skating rink for local kids. And in the summer we were using it as a summer stage for theater plays and concerts, but being in Savamala, it's really, you could not miss the last summer such a huge number of refugees that were gathering in the local parks because of the natural vicinity to the railway and bus station. And imagine us trying to make our living and provide 30 salaries. We organize a lot of projects that are financing our non-profit projects. So we also have different dance nights and organize different concerts, but it's really hard to put your energy into it while you see all these families that wait for our programs to end, to kindly ask if they can use the bathroom, to wash their babies and so on. So we decided to, we believe that it's too much of division, as we just heard, beautifully put, even among the responsibilities. So we do have, are you a humanitarian organization? Yeah, then you deal with refugees, and I can walk my, pass by you because I'm a cultural organization and I can organize exhibitions and, lectures. But I believe that every cultural hub can become a place of solidarity and integration, and I'm really into getting to know, and I'm really grateful to our host here to kind of embrace me in this family. This was my major feeling, that I'm not on a kind of intercultural exchange project, but I came to a family of very similar thinking people who, by connecting, I think we can amplify these beliefs. And that's
you already put a vision of this title. The title of this podium is Real Possibilities, and we already hear a lot about possibilities for our work in these times of change. Now I would like to introduce Lucia Usolini from Italy, Rome. Is it right? Lucia is a lawyer, and she works for SPRAR, S-P-R-A-R, Italia, which is the abbreviation of System for the Protection of Asylum Seekers and Refugees. The project SPRAR consists of a network of local authorities that set up and runs reception projects for people forced to migrate. It is an instrument, and that's very interesting, of the Italian Ministry of the Interior and functions as a center for decentral relocation of refugees in Italy managed by ANCI, A-N-C-I, the National Association of Municipalities. Let me take the chance at this point to introduce another guest from Italy who accompanied you, Gina Levegro, just from Italia, who's working for ANCI. Gina, welcome in Oberhausen. The aim of SPRA is to go beyond housing distribution, combining it with further aid and services, and following a policy of integrated assistance. Local administrations assist newcomers individually and accompany them in their path to socio-economic integration. Lucia, when we spoke yesterday, you have put SPRA's work in this, I hope, trend-setting sentence. The civil society in the municipalities run the SPRA system, and it is run in such a way that civil society has no objections against the presence and participation of refugees. Can you explain us your mission? And besides, I think you prepared a little presentation. Yeah. Am I right? Okay, then you change the seat. Yes, then you talk a bit.
Okay, hi, my name is Lucia Rizzolini, and I'm a part of a legal office of the central service. The central service is the office that manages the SPRA system. Manage, it means that give help, consultants, or a support to the municipalities that offer, that decided to open a center for the support of asylum seekers and refugees. At the moment, oh sorry, there is some problem. Okay. Okay.
Wait a minute, it's coming. If it's there, where does he?
Okay. Is it okay now? Presentation. Okay. The reception system, the national protection system for asylum seekers and refugees is a part of the system of accommodation in the Italian territories. At the moment, I think that it's very not complicated, but it's necessary to be explained, because the SPRA project at the moment involved almost 500, 600 of municipalities, and give an integration hospitality to almost 27,000 asylum seekers and refugees. This is, as you can see, there are different kind of acronyms. CARA, that means is the first place where asylum seekers, when arrived in Italy, are arranged, just to be identified, just to complete all the phases of the policy phases, and to apply for asylum seekers, for asylum request. So temporary reception, that are some emergency receptions, and then the SPRA system. The SPRA system is spread all over Italy. In fact, it's present in all the regions of the Italian territory, except one, the Valle d'Aosta. And this is particular because we have got the voluntary addition to the SPRA system, so they are not obliged to open a center like us. What is it? SPRA, so it's a network for reception and integration of people seeking and granted international protection. We have got many actors in this, that they are involved, and it's just like an osmotic virtuous circle. It means that we start from the Ministry of Interior, and then and the national politic is interactive with the administrative politic of the municipalities, and then the municipalities municipalities and the social society that start program, individual program only for the asylum seeker and refugees, according to the law, the international law, and according to the Italian constitution. How does it work? As I told you before, the reception system is based on the voluntary collaboration between the different levels of government. In fact, is an osmotic circle. So Ministry of Interior and that give to ANCI that as a waterfall give to local authorities all the support that needs to give support to beneficiaries. And of course, local authorities are involved the third sector, NGOs, associations, and so on that run in offering support to the asylum seeker and the refugees. All the network is a result of years and years of work all over Italy. And these works give as a sum guidelines that permit that all over Italy we have got the same standard of integrated accommodation. As we talked before, in this kind of accommodation is not only shelter and food, but is something else. It's just like some program all over the individual ones, according to their own perspective, what they need, what they need, if they are vulnerable, if they are in difficulties, or if they, which is their perspective. We try to support one by one. These are our numbers at the moment. So as you can see, the local projects are involved are 674, and of course, just for our just to help us, we share between ordinary categories, unaccompanied minors, and vulnerable and mental disease. There are, if that place are dedicated, it means that we give a special support, especially for the person that arrive in mental rapidity, or for the minors that are without any family or someone that accompany them, and so on. The reception place at the moment are, as I told you before, almost 27,000 and are involved. And I think that this is the most important thing. Almost 580 local authorities that voluntarily hold projects. It means that they decide to use, as you can see, the National Fund for Politics and Service for the Asylum that are given by the Ministry of Interior, and they use for service to the asylum seekers and the refugees. And these services are given by the local municipalities and the civil society. So, as I told you, it's just like a circle, and we are in the middle because we support we support even the municipalities and all the other actors if it's necessary. The central service is established by law, is an old law, 2002, and you talked before about what's happened in the Balkan area, and we start a large part of our activities, just like in that period. In fact, in 1999, we start a project that was the grandfather of the Central Service and SPRAD, that was called Programma Nazionale Asilo, PNA, and then it transformed in a part of the system. So in the beginning we was just a program, and that established that there were three actors. The first one was the Ministry of Interior, then ANCI, because it was all over Italy, and then UNHCR because of the protection. So it was our family. So the central service is responsible for the coordination, and we are giving technical support activities linked to the local project of receptions. Even me, if I have to explain to someone of my family, which is my work, is very difficult. And so I think that for all of us that are involved in this period. Anyway, in our topics, which are our tasks? We're managing a national data bank that is of the Ministry of Interior, so we can have a map of all the asylum seekers, all the refugees, with all the other history, and with all the services that they had. So it's just like an history of their period that they live in Italy. They live in our SPRAR project. We monitor the activities, and the activities are many. In fact, we have got so many skills. And we try to give just like a support to the beneficiaries to reconquer their own autonomy. Just because when they arrive in another country, in a very bad situation, with awful transit between very difficult countries, the only thing that they want is to re-establish who they are. And we just give some tools. That's because, as Phil said before, the integration, we just try to be interactive with them. We give the tools that they can use or they can't. It depends by them, but we just support him in everything. So if they go out from Roma, from Caltanissetta, from Breno, that are three different parts all over Italy, they can manage their own autonomy and they can be able to understand. So the first thing is to learn the language. The second thing is to establish who they were in their own country. Sometimes I think, I am a lawyer, so I studied so many years. And I think that if for X motive I have to go out and I lose my identity, what I am, all my studies, I can feel lost. So we try just to give back everything, just like the recognizing of the studiorum itinere, for example, or to start a new activity, or to try to give the opportunities for the driving license, so they can start what they did, for example, or everything that they want. For every one of the 2007 beneficiaries, we have got 2007 projects all around them. So we supporting information, awareness, writing activities, and dissemination of the information, because as everybody knows, the information is power. So everybody has to know what is happening according to the law, and how is the system, what they can ask, and what they have got the right to receive. This is the program that we are involved on. So they are a personalized socio-economical project for each beneficiaries. Not only food and shelter, but many support, social, psychological, ethno-psychological, legal assistance and information. And this is most important because sometimes they lose a chance because they don't know that can reach. So the only way is to understand what is happening and to understand what they can do in their position. So, of course, we involve the local society through information campaigns, through dissemination of what we do, and through an active support. So, as I told, in every direction is an osmotic virtuous circle. I like osmotic virtuous circle. The system has been improved gradually, so we start with 3,000 of beneficiaries, and the number grow up, and at the moment we arrive at many more. And these are the keywords of the SPRAR: public nature of the resource. We said that comes directly from the Ministry of Interior, synergies between different souls of the society. Then we say decentralization of integrated reception action, local network, specific skills, voluntary network. So, for example, the public network, as we told, the fund is by the Ministry of Interior, and according to a multi-level government approach. It means that is a coordinator to different levels. The synergies. Synergies start in this case, as I told you before, we have got many players. So we have got the third sector players, association, NGOs, cooperative, that are instrument to the in the hands of the municipality that apply voluntary to the fund. Just view the last keywords that are the decentralization, that is all over the region, and the local network, that is our strength. Thank you very much.
I really need to leave, but just to link on what you said, then mentioning that we had to learn to wear many different hats. We as an organization, which is purely coming from the cultural world and suddenly dealing with, and I'm not only talking about social integration, but we are dealing every day with the heavy duty basic provision of basic needs from medical help, food, clothes, all sorts of, and so what I wanted to say that it's not possible to do it on your own, and it's really a huge synergy, and we became some kind of a hub to work with and learn who are all these other organizations. You're mentioning UNCHR, which is a great help to us, even though we are learning every day that what they do is very kind of old school humanitarian help, and we can see many different, much more elastic ways of doing it, number one. But that's actually what is actually the positive thing, that we found ourselves in something we don't know how to do at all, because we immediately became another channel for many different cultural and other organizations that wanted to join us in a way. So we for instance, Gesina was with us at our festival, which is usually oriented towards cultural, social, architecture, and other topics, that we devoted this time to sensitive society, of course having in mind our concerns for the refugee population, but also giving us much wider vision to suddenly notice many other injustices that exist in our everyday life. So we included, of course, our eternal refugees, which is Roma people in Serbia, as you also mentioned, and many, many other sensitive groups that actually don't have to be sensitive. It's us that made them sensitive. They can actually become also very powerful and help us in making a much, diverse community. But what nice thing that happened, and I'm just leaving this for your further conversation. I'm sorry I can't be there, but it's how we gave another lens, so that suddenly we started covering all these other activities, such as the IT conference that suddenly got interested. So they colored the activities, and they organized something that we could also use in real life. But then also many other, designers joined, and so it became like some kind of a network of, and then I couldn't see immediately how the very Excel chart-oriented UNCHR would kind of get in touch with all these underground groups of people who are suddenly dealing around the same issue, but from different sides. That's why I believe that cultural organizations can become very important hubs for all these agents to meet. Thank you guys, love you, happy life.
Thank you very much, Maya. She mentioned quite a few issues which we want to discuss, and I really hope that we will come into the watching, you were both gentlemen, you're still waiting for your introduction. But exactly, this topics she mentioned, culture as an instrument, synergies between different organizations and countries. These are subjects which we want to discuss. This is the reason why KITEF organized this symposium. And we rely on your expertise, on your experiences, on your doubts, and on your problem solutions also. Because the one thing is to show the methods, but the other thing is to really show how you approached certain situations in your cities, in your towns, in your diverse structures. But now let me introduce Urban Jeriha from Ljubljana. He is a trained architect from the University of Ljubljana and works as a researcher at IPOP, the Institute for Spatial Policies. The IPOP is a non-governmental consulting and research organization in the field of sustainable spatial and urban development. It focuses on participatory processes, urban regeneration, sustainable mobility, and new spatial practices. I'm really eager to hear what this is. Urban worked with the Center for Central European Architecture and Traffic Policy-related local initiatives. And he founded the Pre-Borg Association, where he organizes cultural events and consults NGOs. So we come back to culture. You participated also in the content production of this really admirable brochure, which is here with the brochure. Really read it. It's great, and I'm really impressed by your work. I would like you just to introduce a little bit of your motivation and your mission, because due to time clashes, we didn't have the time to talk in person just 2 minutes before we started.
Thank you, good evening. Thank you for the nice introduction. So, I am here for 3 reasons. What unites them is we discovered how people can influence cities, how towns can be influenced by people. And so I'm here for 3 reasons, and those 3 reasons are 3 projects that we do together with KITEF and with other guests here around. So let me present, let's say, the first, maybe the majority of international audience is here for. This is the project New Ideas for Old Buildings. And this is a project on how municipalities can manage their own empty or underused property better, but with the help of public participation. So this is quite an interesting project because it joins together experiences from the Baltics to the Balkans with 6 different countries and many partners. And what we learn from each other is that municipalities often do their job very seriously, very good, but also that civil society has potentials to help them to regenerate some areas which are in decline, which is specifically important for small and medium-sized cities, which are not very let's say, attractive for young professionals to flock there. But it is small cities which are left behind and where some problems also exist. So this is the first project, and this is very interesting that our partners from Oberhausen is the municipality of Oberhausen, and because Oberhausen is in German terms small or medium-sized town, and so there are many of them, especially in the rural area, and there are problems or issues, let's say, challenges which are common for on the European scale. So this is something that we will conclude next year, but we have already learned a lot from each other. The second project that we've collaborated together is the project Refugees for Co-Creative Cities, because this we have the starting point of this was there are so many empty buildings in towns like Oberhausen, like Ljubljana, like Maribor, and so on, and there is a lot of refugees now in Europe that don't have a place to stay. So this has to be joined together. So the starting point was how to use the power of refugees, how to use their skills, how to use their potential to improve the city. So not just to provide some housing for refugees, but together with refugees, how cities can be improved for the better, not just for refugees, but also on the long run for the entire society. And this project was divided into 3 different parts. One was research, so we have found, have searched for and also found good practices throughout Europe, and we have learned really a lot from Sprat, from Italy, which is a very good project. Also from German authorities, we have learned a lot because in those 2 countries there is a very developed practice, developed in the necessity, but still a very nice practice of accommodation and integration in the society. And so we come now to the 3rd project. So this is Refugees Kitchen, which didn't have much to do with NIFOB, but we have been amazed by the power of the co-creation, because from the beginning on, this is the project where refugees work closely with local organizations, with supporters, local supporters, and this is really incredible that they succeeded to do this food truck that is there behind, and that it continues to do to communicate different cultures through the medium of food. And yeah, these are all the 3 reasons where.
And your personal reason. Why are you doing it? What's your drive?
There are many. Let's say just honest. But there is one real. There's one good reason and one honest reason.
Okay. And an official reason.
The official reason is because of the project. The good reason is that with those European projects, it is very nice to learn what the good practices are in our societies and all the other societies, and we have made very good friends with throughout Europe, and it has been very exciting. And what is the true reason? The honest reason, the honest reason is that I have grown up. As an architect, I've been trained as an architect, but sideways, there's always been some activist activities. And there are some, in every society, in every municipality or state, there are some, I don't know, injustices maybe, or maybe questionable projects, or maybe something, and I'm involved in one of them, questioning authorities. And it has been really, really nice to hear that even in the official sides, in the municipality and in the states, that there are persons who really believe that they are doing their best what they can. So,
Thank you very much. You can see I didn't speak to him before, and so I didn't pronounce your organization's name in the right way.
Yeah, we call it
NIFOB. Okay, not IPOP, NIFOB. Please remember. Last but not least, I'm very happy to greet Tarek Alavos, actually my neighbor in terms of location in Germany. He's born in Damascus. He was born in Damascus and he studied in Aleppo. And then he worked as an architect, as a lawyer, sorry. as a lawyer in Damascus.
Actually, no, with human rights activists in the Red
But you
Cross
studied
in
law in Aleppo.
In Aleppo.
In Aleppo. And then you worked with the Red Cross for 3 years. And he's now the speaker of the initiative Refugee Strike Bochum. Some met him probably in the afternoon. The Refugee Strike Bochum, for the ones who were not here in the afternoon, is a self-organized group of refugees who organize local protests against the inhuman treatment of refugees and against racism. For now, a quotation, for us, for us, it's a matter of equality and a decent life for all. That is how Tarek describes his incentive. Although we were working in the same city, we never met before, so I would like you to ask you, dear Tarek, even if you probably talked a lot in this workshop today, could you give us a short summary about Refugee Strike Bochum, how you formed its protest movement, and how, some of you might have read it in the press, how the dynamics developed concerning public attention and the reactions of the official employees in the municipality in Bochum. It was very interesting. What worked for you, and what do we have to expect next from your initiative?
Hello? At first was the idea between 5 persons from us, like it's necessary now to make this movement in Bochum because of the bad situation at that time. We decided to start this action. We was a few persons at first, but we studied our situation. We studied our situation from the law side, our laws, the laws, our rights, and what's from our rights applied in the city of Bochum, and what can they apply more for this right to develop the situation for the refugees in Bochum. By the time, at the 3rd or 4th day in our protest, we recognized that many persons are participate for us. We are talking about, at the end, we were like 200 persons protesting in front of the city of Bochum. Our demands was 4 points. The first point is first point was the long time to process for applying for applying for the asylum in the city of Bochum. It was more than 1 year or sometimes more. The second point was about the free flats and free spaces in Bochum, and why are we like refugees didn't allow to rent these flats or to have these flats if it's free. The third about the German courses in the last topic of the German government. The most topical talk was about the integration in all of the sides. And the question was from us, how can we integrate in the society that we couldn't speak the language of this society, and we was not allowed to have professional or official German courses in the city of Bochum. And the fourth was about the work for the refugees. After 17 days protesting in front of the Rat House in Bochum, the city hall, and 3 meetings with the administration, with the coordinator of the refugees' work in Bochum. We had some promises from the city of Bochum, and we saw it was so necessary for us to stay organized, like we was in the protest camp, to stay organized because we just got promises, we didn't get anything applied. So we continue our talks with the city of Bochum. Till now we are having like every month 2 talks with the city of Bochum, what's applied from our demands till now, what's not applied, what's under process. It was necessary also for us because we are persons from migration background, we can say we are refugees. We knew our problems more than any other persons. It was so important for us to talk with these persons. The rule was before in Bochum or in Germany at all. It's talk about the refugees, talk how can I help the refugees. No one just thought that I have to talk to the refugees, with the refugees, to know their problems and to decide how can I help them. So it was so important for us to participate in so many meetings in Bochum, in so many public situations, just to talk about the problems and to talk about our opinion for the solution. Because in our opinion also, the integration can't be from one side, it has to be from the two sides. If we want to integrate this big number from the refugees now, we have to hear from them, we have to have the first step or to break the ice for the refugees. Because if they stayed in their accommodation without anyone to talk to, without anyone to know the problems, we will not have integration in this country. So it was our opinion. Till now we are working about that. For the future, we are preparing ourselves to be an officially organization. It's a bit early to talk about that because we need many experiences more. But yeah, it's our big target, and we are still working to reach this target.
Yes, and I think we can learn a lot from your initiative. Thank you very much, all of you. Thank you very much for your attention. I would like to open a really lively discussion with you, the audience, and our guests. I just would like you to get with us on the path of Europe. Remember, we are looking at differently shaped European countries and societies. Some of them have been struggling with their immigration policies in the past 50 years, and a lot are now facing a severe populist backlash and a rapid change of migrant structures. Plus, an enormous fear of the so-called post-society concerning losses of job, security, Phil mentioned it before, the erosion of working conditions, and a finally widespread social decline. So we are dealing with this togetherness feeling in Europe. We are dealing with the question of assets. And my question would be, do you think that we are facing similar problems, similar thoughts, similar issues in the collaboration between civil society, city authorities and private sectors when it comes to the one thing is using public buildings for citizens' use, but also when it comes to dealing with new people coming to our countries?
We can do if we allow, if that's a situation we're prepared to allow, then that is what will happen. Because we're all human, we're all imperfect. Most of us, most of the time, are looking for a quiet life and to do things the easiest way possible. And that particularly goes for bureaucracies. And it's a very interesting time, and Germany in particular is a fascinating place, given that it's set itself this enormous challenge, yes, of taking in so many people so quickly. It's a challenge to the German way of doing things. I'm glad the Germans have taken it on, because there are systems, there are very effective systems for dealing with things.
But when you refer to the Germans, sorry that I interrupt, we heard the word network very often. Each of you mentioned the word network, but now we are talking, Kitef did this because they want you to build a network. So do you have any suggestions, methods? How can this, enormously experienced people in different sectors, in different jobs, is there any Can we build any vision for a network, for a working network? What is the real possibility?
Yeah, I'm in one.
Pardon?
I'm in a network and it works.
On a European base, that's what
Yeah.
we want to vision. That's our vision.
But it only works on the basis of things
course.
working at local, which, just to finish off what I was saying about Germany, is that we have to be realistic. That each town in Germany and everywhere else in Europe now is trying. Some with goodwill, some are only doing it because they've been told to do it or they've been bribed to do it. I don't know what the situation in Bochum is. I would be interested to find out why it was necessary for an organisation like yours to be formed in the first place. I'm sure there are other towns in Germany that are dealing with the same issues, the same complex structures and rules, and they're doing it better than Bochum. Maybe some are doing it worse. We have to learn. We have to make sure that we are making the structures learn from their own experiences, and that's the problem. They're so busy doing it. They're so busy applying the rules, forcing people into their square boxes that they're not actually reflecting on what they're doing.
Before your answer, you said something very interesting about being suspicious about people. How can we establish relations with people we have been suspicious about, like politicians, but also newcomers? What are your basic work is very, very important for that. So can you give me an answer? You know, what did you do to overcome suspicion, or to help people to overcome?
You have to encourage people to take risks, and it's micro risks in social situations. It's if someone does something differently from one day to the next, they speak to that stranger that they normally pass by in the street, and they've found that it didn't kill them to actually talk to their neighbour for the first time. Actually, it's safe. Maybe it wasn't comfortable, but actually you overcame that barrier, and then you can overcome the next one and the next one. But I guess too often we make it easy for each other to take the lazy way out, to avoid all of those risks, and never actually make those little mini social innovations that bring about change. Yes, the law needs monitoring. You lawyers have your role in life. We do need you, but the law alone it doesn't change human behaviour. It's all of us. The political is personal. In that way, we all have to make those little risks. And the role for civil society is to help us to do that.
What is the European scale of those, let's say, challenges? In the current state of refugees, there has been a feeling that there has been two sides or two camps of countries. One is the Western way of different types, but still accommodating and integrating refugees, and there is I had the feeling that more Eastern way of dealing with refugees, which is building walls and staying apart, and this is not our problem, so why should we do it so? With this project and what we learned, we tried to influence our national practice and also influence the European state of the art. And so we have in NIFOB and also with other partners, we have invited representatives of Italia and Sprague, and also representatives of German authorities. Authorities, they contributed their own work and they were represented by KIDER, and it has attracted quite an interest in Slovenia. So we were informing the state secretary what is the good practice in Italy and Germany, what works and what it doesn't. And this has contributed to a change on the refugee, let's say, integration policy a little bit, and also to the accommodation policies. It is not perfect, far from that, and we still have a lot of things to learn from partners which are better than us, but still. This current conference is also a means to inform also the other countries, for example, that participate in the New Ideas for Old Buildings project. And I think this is a good opportunity to speak about refugees on the other, on one hand, and for also other vulnerable groups which exist in all the countries, not only those who are on the way or the target, the end, let's say, the most wished for countries for asylum seekers.
Yeah.
Just because for many times in Europe the SPRAR system was considered a good practice. For example, in Spain, just like in many other countries in the Central Europe, and is studied because the network in that case works. I mean that it's just like support. From the top, from the ministry, and then to the local municipality that gives support to the beneficiaries through the NGOs, and back. The receiving society had another kind of support, because inside the SPRAR system there are some equipe where works sociology, psychology, that are involved in the society where the center and project are open. I mean that it's not assistentially, it's just like a circle where everyone gives something and gives an opportunity to grow up. This is, I think, our strength.
Yeah, thank you. We talk about, yeah, please. No, I mean, yeah.
I don't know
You
if
need a microphone?
I just wanted to give a little comment that something that didn't sound quite right about what Urban said actually, about the Western and Eastern way of dealing with the problem of immigration. As you said before, there was such a strong and such a violent reaction on the border between Serbia and Hungary. But we mustn't forget that this was the reaction because, in a sense, European community, if not directly encouraging it, it didn't really put the pressure on the Hungarian government to not behave in such a way. So we have to know that these countries are kind of a border that's been put up and encouraged by these receiving societies at the end. So hence this reaction that means like put up the walls and not understand what Mayan people in Serbia are doing and other people that are doing in this more southern, let's say, part of Europe is very important, and just and these local actions are also very important. But another very important thing is how do we influence the greater system, and to see what Germany is doing right now with receiving all the refugees is admirable, but it's not enough, and it's not systemic, and it's not globally what we saw. Local is great, but global is also very important. That's just a comment I want to make.
Anybody wants to answer this comment? Sorry? No. It's, yeah.
I mean, of course, I agree. It is, it may be a prejudice, I admit, but there has been, I noticed some difference in maybe public opinion or maybe the leading or ruling politicians. So there's not a border, but there are some, let's say, differences in the response.
Can we?
Just on the East-West issue, I've just arrived from Bucharest. I've spent the first half of the week in Bucharest talking with civil society and officials about their response to migration. And believe me, some of the politicians there and some of the activists, their level of understanding of what intercultural living together is about is far in advance of many Western European politicians. Partly because, as a country, they have a history of living together over centuries, which is not perfect, but they've made there are 20 different minorities already that have been living in Bucharest for 500 years. And, you know, give or take a few crises, actually, they've made it work. Whereas most Western European countries have only been dealing with large-scale diversity for the last 20 or 30 years. So Western Europeans shouldn't be so, you know, too arrogant about their experience. And there is much to learn from other countries.
But also from the basic way, I used to your one here it was very interesting, the lessons or the learnings of Dewsbury or Dewsbury,
Yeah.
because I think we can also project this on a larger scale. Because we are a little bit short of time, there's one more topic which I really want to take again into the discussion: culture. Because there are lots of culture practitioners here. And what kind of function can culture overtake in the integration process? What is, to put it in business language, the USP, the unique sales proposition of culture when you use cultural work for empowerment of citizens, no matter what background they're from? The audience is also, why did he tell us this? We talked about it the day before yesterday. What kind of function can culture overtake for our pressing topics?
My name is Apostolos Tsalastras. I'm part of the bureaucracy of this town. I'm a member of the head of the administration responsible for finance and culture. And I think this is a really good question that you that is to be answered, because in many discussions about the questions of migration, of the urbanization, of how to develop cities, we always discuss about social problems, economic development, and how to build streets and houses. And the point of culture is always forgotten. And this is not a good view on the things, because culture is a very important part of a town, and so must also have an important part of the discussion how to develop a town. Without culture, it's my opinion, not only as responsible for culture, but also responsible for finance. Without culture, you cannot develop a town. It's a very, very important thing, because people communicate together, or have to communicate together, live together, and this is always a part of culture. This is one thing. And the other thing is with cultural projects, and I think the projects Phil would describe are not only economical or social projects, are very deeply cultural projects. With such projects, you are able to get people together, to connect them, to learn from each other, and so this is the starting point for developing a town, especially like Oberhausen, where we have many unemployed people, many immigrants, many people living from social aid, not very high educated people, so you have not other possibility. If they were all students, you could try to get them connected with intellectual discussions or something like that. This is not possible in a town like that, so you need a form of culture to make people live together. It's a very, very important thing, and we can learn because you talked about the networks. I think this is very important because everyone has another idea, another thought of making such projects, so we can learn many things from each other. And I learned, especially from some projects and or some organization how it's made in other countries. I learned today many things, and I'm very happy that I had the time to come here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I just want to answer it. It's an instrument also for encounter. Encounter was the key word, which I remembered also after Phil's talk and after we talked. Because creating encounters also has to be creative, and culture can also be an instrument to create encounter. But you wanted to answer.
Yes, in my opinion, I think that we have to think two different situations. First one is the knowledge, and the knowledge is something that everybody has to. Everybody needs. The migrants, the beneficiaries, European citizens, because it helps in the network, in the administrative network, in the social network, helps and permits that everything works. The culture is something else, and culture is something higher, because it's a step forward. It's something that starts inside the society that decides to encounter, to meet. But in the beginning we have to know what and who we meet, and which is the difference, which is a different language. What means everything that when two different persons meet together.
I would critically ask the question, is it really necessary that we meet before we exchange culture? Is it, or is culture the basic where we can meet? Good.
To me, yeah, it's absolutely it's essential, and it's not necessarily what we always package as culture. Culture we put in little boxes called theatres and art galleries and anything that is financed by the culture minister is culture, and everything that isn't financed by the culture ministry is something else. Something that let me give you a reason why I like to come to this region. And I told you already, I come from the equivalent region in Britain, and I was brought up in a working class culture, and I saw that culture systematically dismantled, not just in the dismantling of the factories, but the devaluing of the culture of the people who had worked in those factories. And now you go to where I live, and you would almost not know that there'd ever been a coal mine or a steel factory. It's all gone. And the message was, forget it. It's gone. The lot. Not just the factory, but the whole life around it, the family structures, the music, the literature that was created by working people. Forget it. We're in a different world now. And then I came to here, I came to the Ruhrgebiet, just at the time the 10-year program called IBA, Internationale Bauausstellung, was taking place. And that was a process to deal with everything, in a way, in a systematic way, from polluted groundwater to new jobs, new housing, and what are we going to do about the culture? How are we going to say to the people who are losing their factory that actually your culture still matters? We still respect your culture. That will be the building block for any future growth. And you've all had the opportunity to visit some of those places. I know this area still has difficulties, but I would like to think that the way that you've protected and built upon that working culture has given you something for the future. What it has given us, I think, is Brexit. I think all the people who were told your culture is shit, it's gone, it's past, it's history, we don't want it anymore, those are the people who have felt excluded for the last 20 years in Britain. And those are the people who took the only opportunity they had to say, this is what we think about what you've done to us. And that's why they voted for Brexit, I'm afraid.
I don't want to open a Brexit discussion, but still, no? Okay. Okay, because we have 5 more minutes, but I really would like you to participate. So, I don't know your name.
I don't know, because I really want to say something.
Yes, okay.
Just very briefly, I'm really impressed by this romanticized picture that you have. The situation here, actually, for me, it's more like a very critical challenge to deal with the industrialization of culture as kind of a veiling function in society, you know? Because I really feel that we have to take much care of, you know, like not fetishizing or something, so much this kind of vision that we try to embody already, saying, yeah, we are all equal, we are doing things together, we are sharing, we are encountering. I believe deeply in this, and in a way I'm also fighting for this, but at the same time I feel no matter which background, that's exactly our fault, you know, because there's really political issues to address, and there's really things to stand in for at the moment, to be able to collaborate. And in a way, you know, like you feel it, like I'm really in this very desperate mode, actually, as a cultural actor, that I feel that that this ambivalency is not, you know, we can't practice this so long anymore, you know. I don't know, but yeah, so
thank you very much.
Yeah, it's very well, Johanna. I wanted to go on the same issue. Johanna Spüker from Institute Riga. I think most people know me anyway. Yeah, I'm completely. I feel actually the same like Johanna. I feel completely threatened and burdened with all of these. In the last decade, we always need titles for everything. For God's sake, I mean, it's the culture is not a new revolution, and I mean, just we left something else. And I mean, I'm coming from social planning, and I'm beyond 50, and then somewhere there was the social issue important. I mean, sorry to say that clearly the shit on it. Really, this is not important. When we use the term culture, then maybe we should use the term culture in the way that the culture of planning, the culture of talking, the culture of being. So I mean that we really like show empathy of doing something. And I stress what I said yesterday in the same panel, doing it together. I know Johanna critical, I also am critical about the togetherness, but anyhow. So the culture of being, isn't that like probably easier not to again create a creative industry and a cultural industry? And I mean, sorry to say, I think after 25 years working in that, I'm sick and tired of it.
yeah, it has to be practice and not a claim, you know.
Sorry, no exit comment, Phil, I'm sorry.
Yes, please. Hier vorne. Hier vorne. Hier vorne.
That was an awesome lineup for my thing. Love you, Jonas.
Love you, Volker.
I'm going to take up on the culture of collaboration. I think with that I can take up on Phil as well. First, they took the Western European working class through the whole program of taking away their work, their minds and what have you. They took away their culture and their pride. They called it racist, right-wing activist, whatever. Now it is like this. The working class votes AfD and CSU in this country. The working class of Northern England votes UKIP and right-wing of Tories. And with this, no identity, no culture of communication, collaboration left. The only thing we have is the stupid flags. In the best sense, it's a stupid flag of BVB Dortmund or Schalke or Rot-Weiß Essen. But what I see right now, that people which are helpless without any culture, and culture means habit, a kind of way of doing it, or they lost everything they learned everything they had in heritage. There's no chance then going back to tribal identities of what is my group, what is my country, and everything else can screw themselves. So I think one big step would be recreate a working class identity, a workers' movement in the real sense of the way, so that we don't only have municipalities and NGOs and other nice, cute, cultural people taking care of the pure refugees in misericordia from some Christian being a good person going to heaven for it, but actually recreating links between the workplace, the workforce, the working people, and the refugees. Hi guys, you're new here. Let's see, what did you learn in your home state? What did you learn during your struggle to get here? You must be the best survivor, the best manager, the hardest worker, the 1% of everything, because you actually survived to get here through the Italian mess, through the Balkan mess. So what can we learn from you to organize, to work, to recreate actual industries, and with that kind of working class identity, we can ignore whether some lady wears a burqa or somebody has a black beard instead of a yellow one.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and we are talking about the requirement of many skills, about many questions, and that's how, I mean, we can discuss for a longer time during food, but I don't want to finish this round before we just ask once our hosts, because our hosts, Kitev, they really wanted to connect questions, they wanted to connect subjects, they wanted to connect different skills, and I would like you to give us a specific example about a situation which seemed to be irresolvable and where you were able to establish a method of co-creativity for a solution in your work. You can also say it in German.
Yeah, probably it's better because my English is not so good. It's like Matthias said yesterday, it's like something like a formal English or something like this, but I will try. It was what, let's say, we learned a lot in the last time. We learned a lot. We changed our habits, our way to work, because we spent many time, and we had to face a lot of other realities what was common, not about the new constellation about our group and with who we worked and with we worked, what the kind of language. It was not discussed us. It was the way to co-work, to co-plan, and to think about this, and then to bring it in a kind of reality when you don't have the facility, when you don't have the money, or when you don't have the things. So you always must face, let's say, look in the society where are the right keys, or where are the possibilities where you can realize ideas, where you start together, and then you face. You go inside in old steel worker places, because let's say what we faced even, and this is it's not really a critic, but we have to think about this even a little bit, because we was going to the institutes, public institutes, let's say industry museum or theater, and we asking if we can share the offices where we can build our refugees kitchen. And it was not possible, even under this pressure that we are looking for, let's say, to do something in our society, or to realize a project, or to bring it in a real, and that was closed for us. And it was strange a bit, because so we go inside by the steelworker places, by Babcock, huge, and it was that they had the old thinking, yeah, we can do it here. So this is a kind of the spirit of the Ruhrgebiet. This is this, let's say, this kind of, yeah, what have to do with work, we can do it together. This is not this is a work we do it by the breakfast. So this is modern. So it wasn't like we did all the steel work together. We started by the zero, and this was good for us, or to even for our friends, to see, to face the problems even together, or to say, okay, they're let's say they said no, what we do now, so we have to look to a new solution. So to see what is the system in Germany, where are the limits, where are the what are the real problems. Then the next we had to face a new partnership because we don't, yeah, we had a tower, we reconstruct the tower, but this was the space to plan in the beginning or to say or to describe or scribble our dreams, but not make it in the physical, in the reality. And this was, let's say, and all overcome this let's say, these problems. Somebody asked me why you make it so complicated. I think, sure, it's easier way, but the complication is it's something of a reality if you want to really realize dreams or something in what you believe or what your heart can feel in heaven. You have to face this. And so we did this, and it took long time. And but in the end, we finished it together, and it is, let's say, a high engineered thing because it's running autark, and it is really going in knowledge from the steelwork to the static planning to the electro engineering, and even we reconstruct an old mobile. Let's say, what is a truck, but was running once in the Oberhausen, and it's still by. So it has to do even with new ideas for old trucks. So we matched the old truck from the Oberhausen with a new idea from a kitchen, and in the last 2 days we are invited to Maribor, to Belgrade, and so on. So it becomes lively, it goes over, and I think even the stories behind become richer because it's not a storytelling. The story, it's always coming by themselves, facing the reality. Probably this is a kind of thing what I can say.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, dear audience, for your attention, for your patience, for your input, and I really hope that you stay and we talk face to face. We talk, we also fight, whatever about the subjects, the topics we're really dedicated to, we are interested in. I think we can close it here. Does anybody wants to give a final, who did it? Okay. Ramesh. No, what's your?
I'm Ramesh. Okay, I think everybody almost knows, so I don't need to say why I'm here. I just wanted to say something that I learned almost from everybody here. And I'm coming from Iran, so almost 3 groups of refugees are coming through my country or from my country. So Iranian, Iraqian who are living in Iran, and Afghanian who are living in Iran. We are sharing the same language, so we didn't have this problem with Afghan refugees in my country that they couldn't speak the same language with us. And they didn't even come to Germany because they had money problem, because they are earning actually good money without education. Ubuntu 1,500, 2,000 per month, so I think it's good. That's not, and proportion of this money in my country is 4 times more. So what I think they really lacked in Iran is that to be part of the society. And this is not only because of language, because of being able to do. They exactly look like us, so they don't have blonde beard or something. They are exactly like us, but they didn't feel belong to our society. They didn't feel belong to Iranian. They didn't feel part of our society. And okay, I don't cry. I feel so sorry that we couldn't make it, but I feel that they really feel more belonged here. The group that we worked with them, when I'm talking to them, they say we feel part of the team. And I think that is what you all are making, at least in the panel there, that you make this network, that they feel belong to the place that they are becoming. They are receiving what they lost as you gave them, and I was really touched by it, that you just didn't want to pity them, you just wanted to give them something they lost them, because not all of them are coming for needs. For sure they didn't need it in their countries. So I really appreciate all of your presentations and what you shared, because it really touched me. And I really think that the most important thing that you all shared was this network, that they were really connecting them together. Because in some countries they don't even need these extra things, but they just didn't feel belong there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The applause is yours.